Welcome back to Shifted Reality, Season 2, Episode 6. We got a little derailed on the last episode with difficulties getting our nether portals to connect correctly. But now that we have that all worked out and have easy access in and out of the cherry wood donut, let us work on what we actually wanted to get to last episode. So Frosthaven Cove is going to make his mark on this district by utilizing this large waterfall and the pond below it. I've kind of deepened it a little bit, added some fish for some ambiance, and now we're going to decorate it in a way that is going to define our lore of our overall building. So to start out with, we're going to put a dock that leads out into this little pond, and we're going to use a very basic design. Foundations of cobblestone with a cobblestone wall on top of that. That's going to support these pale oak fence posts. But the idea is these aren't white because that's their natural color, but because they're sun bleached and they're old and they're starting to deteriorate. And to make the bridge look worn down as well, we're going to fill in these gaps using some campfires. So we're just going to put these here, here, and we're going to try and make sure they all have the same facing. We just put out the fire. And now it looks like you can see the support structure of the dock underneath, and the top layer of wood has rotted away and is no longer there. And then to finish it all off, we're going to just come out to the end of the dock, put a little rowboat in the water, and then we're going to attach a lead to the rowboat and to our fence post, so it looks like the rowboat has been moored to the dock. And that completes a nice completed look of the dock that shows that at least at one point it had been in use for renting out rowboats to row around in this little pond. I've said it before, I never have a firm design of what I'm building, I just have a general idea of what I'm trying to achieve. So once you know what you think I am going to be building here, leave a comment down below with your guess. But let's work on this together as we go on to design this. So the next step, off of this dock, I want to bring this up into a deck that's going to be overlooking the general area here. So we got to raise this up a little bit. And now that we have our steps off of our dock that will lead up to our deck, we are going to decide exactly how long we want our deck. And I'm thinking, let's start here. And we're just going to use 4 tall of the dark oak logs, which we will be stripping. So right now this is about 3 wide. I want to make sure you go ahead and make it a 4 wide section. Yeah, like the little bit of an off-centerness, and it kind of lines up with where the water's flowing too. So that works for me. So let's do 2 more sections. Get rid of that corner because we want it to be flush with the ground. There you go. I don't think I want to go any bigger than that, otherwise we're going to be too large, I think, for the area. Now, in my opinion, the best builds combine symmetry with asymmetry. So the example of those stairs being off by 1 to the left from this viewpoint, that creates an asymmetry, but the rest of this is going to need a symmetry. So we are going to take here, from here we're going to make this more symmetrical. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're up 1, so 1, 2, 3. We only need to go up 3 here, because currently we're just lining up equally with these. And now let's carry this down to the end of our design so far. Oh, I just realized this one's off by 1, so we need to redo this. And there we go. Now let's put in some slabs for our deck flooring. Now putting in the deck, I started off with a stack and change of dark oak slabs. And as you can see, I ended up with about 13 shy of completing it. And that got me thinking, do I make another 18 slabs so that I can finish filling this out? Or I have these gaps in my deck that shows the wear and tear of it not being maintained. Is there any way that I can do the same thing with the dark oak slabs? And that kind of gave me a little bit of an inspiration. So I'm going to take slabs from back here randomly, sporadically, to finish filling this out and leave a bunch of gaps. But I'm going to need a building supply that I do not yet have this season. So I'm going to run over and find a biome that I can get what will be needed to make the deck itself look like it is also equally unmaintained as our dock. So I almost never have a use for these particular blocks. I'm kind of hoping and excited to see if this actually works. I think it should blend in well, but we will see. The mangrove roots. Honestly, I thought they were a little bit darker than that, but this would be so much better if they were a facing block, because this pattern on the side would actually work for this a little bit better than the pattern on top. But overall, yeah, I think that works a little bit for kind of a slightly rotted deck floor. You can, however, see it below. So I need something to run along this edge in order to help hide the fact that they are full blocks, whilst the rest of it is half slabs. There we go, that adds a nice little contrast in color and shade. You can still kind of make out the bottom of the mangrove roots when you're a little bit of a distance away, but when you get up close, it really hides them. And from a little distance away where you can't see them, it's not really clear what they are. Just a little bit of a shade, a shadow maybe. And this is a nice thing with the whole design is, again, I wouldn't have thought to accent the edge of this deck area with the signs if I did not have the necessity of hiding the mangrove roots. And I like how that looks. This is a good example of designing in the moment to create and expand your horizons, because necessity will often give us more creativity or more ingenuity than pre-planning everything to the exact extent of what you want it to be. Now next I'm going to need to push this back a little bit to make room for my main building, and I don't want to carve into the cliffside too much, so I'm going to stop right at this stone front, and I'm not going to go past this. Oops, I don't want that dirt block there. And I'm not going to go past this line where the water is, so I'm just going to take this, push it back to that stone block here, and then take it out this way a little bit and just clear out some space for where the main building is going to be. Here we can see where we cleared out the space for the main building and laid out the foundation for what we are thinking. I wanted to have an enclosed structure that kind of led out into an open space, and this open space is going to be very reminiscent of the mob breeder farm area of my original build. This is all about bringing both the lore and the aesthetic of the main base, Frosthaven Cove, to the shared collective area. Hopefully that will be occupied by multiple server members who will each put their own mark in this area. And now you can see how it's all coming together. We have our floor in, we have the framing set up. We are looking at where things are going to go. You notice I have these pillars here, but I chose not to mirror them on this side because this is about the internal structure and this is reflecting on the external. And since we're kind of butted right up against the edge here, I could pull this back in Terraform and have this open on 3 sides. It's more like how we have it at our main base. But I'm going to avoid doing that. Instead, I'm just going to make this back one a solid wall. And it's really only going to be these 2 sections that are open in a similar fashion. So let's continue to work on creating that solid wall pattern. As I said, we were going to match the walkway around the villager breeder at the starter base. And now that we have that part up, as well as the general walls that we were going for, we have a little bit of a couple issues. One, we need to put a roof on here. And whilst it would be logical to put on the bright orange roof of the resin bricks, one, if you don't have an automated farm, which I don't, collecting the resin is a little bit expensive and difficult to collect if you're working solo, which I currently am. And two, I don't want it to stand out quite that much. And the bright white of the pale oak is already making it stand out quite a bit. So I'm looking at the deck here, and what I'm thinking is I need to take these dark oak pillars, bring them up a little bit higher, and arch them over the windows and the door. And that will help break up this white here. We need to come up with some sort of rail guidance along the deck edge here so that, people won't fall off. And we need to decide exactly what we're doing on our roof. Lots to work on yet, but it is coming together quite nicely, I think. I want this railing to contrast both the dark oak of the deck and the pale oak of the main structure. And that's why I went with the end stone brick. And I'm trying to decide, do I want it to look like this, where it looks like there's a solid brick in the center to support it? Do you approve, donkey? Too skinny with a solid in the middle. 2 solid bricks on either side. Or maybe just some skinny ones in the middle like that. Now we're starting to go asymmetrical because we have 1, 3, 2. No, I don't like the 1, 3, 2. This is the most symmetrical design. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with this design for right now, and if you like one of the other designs better, just leave me a comment down in the comments to let me know which one you thought I should have gone with. I can always change it up. We're not set in stone, literally. That creates a fairly decent level of variety, I think. And I do like the even spacing at the bottom level of it. Now to deal with the deck roof. I want to try and do an angular roof that starts up at the top here and angles down to this level. So that is 2 block drop over a 4 drop. We can swing that. Let me just go get some sandstone. Alright, there's my deck roof on. And it slopes down quite gracefully, I think. But you'll notice that it comes down a little bit close to the edge of the railing, and there is actually a purpose for that. Let me show you. So you notice it comes down and really kind of blocks off the view and has a bit of a low ceiling. The idea is that this whole thing is supposed to be sagging and, again, in line with the rotted floor of the deck and the missing planks on the dock. This whole thing is supposed to have a slightly dilapidated look, like it hasn't really been maintained in a while and it's been exposed to a lot of water drops and splashes and such. So in order to do that, we put this as low as we could, and you can see there's a problem. You can't just simply walk out, you have to crouch to get out. But having a nice straight line like that doesn't give the idea or the impression that it is a dilapidated mistake. So what we're now going to do is we're going to raise some sections but leave other sections at this level to create kind of a history of it shifting over time. And now with that somewhat randomized raising and lowering on multiple points, even throughout the interior of it, it gives it that much more degraded, collapsing look that we were going for. I said I didn't want to go with the resin because I thought it was a little too bright and too vibrant for what we are trying to achieve here. So the compromise I went with was using acacia wood logs, because once they're stripped, you get that orange color, but it looks a little dingy, a little dirty, a little worn out. And I left the bark on in a few places, almost to try and achieve a look like maybe this is more of a painted on color, and that's just places where it's fully faded. And it's mostly working for me. I wish I had something here to work as a little bit more of a transition from this really dull gray to this kind of dingy orange. If you have any suggestions as to a block that might fit that purpose, by all means, leave a comment down below. I am all ears, but I couldn't find anything that really worked for what I was going with, so that sharp transition of Minecraft blocks is just going to be what we're with. And the other thing is I'm going to now take the acacia slabs and bring this up and over and close off this roof. With the acacia slab planks on here as the roof, at first I was a little disappointed I couldn't achieve the same faded color that I did with the logs. But then it occurred to me there is actually a little way to do it. It's not perfect because it only works on the upper slabs, but the pale moss kind of gives a similar appearance. If we just put a few blotches here and there, it won't. It's not perfect. You won't be able to see it from below, but if anybody is ever looking at it from the top or flying over with the Elytra, it will give that kind of faded look to it. You're not going too over the top, just some here and there. And now we have the outside structure fully finished. Let's just add some signs to let the other players know that it is here. Now we have the exterior of the Frosthaven Cove Fish Market completed. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Oh, somebody left some fish on the dock. Here we have the fresh catch of the cod available for sale. Over here we have our fresh catch of salmon. And as we come inside, we can see several barrels and our various decoration. Here we have our fish tank filtration system, a couple displays, a special treasure hunt race that I want to try and see if I can't get a couple players to take part in. A little turtle sanctuary that's gotten a bit overgrown because it's been neglected. Tropical fish tank. And here's a fun little Easter egg. Grian's legendary book, 1 diamond block. Yeah, everyone on this server really likes Grian and Hermitcraft in general. So that's just kind of an homage to his fishing adventure at the beginning of the current season of Hermitcraft. And then out here we have, instead of Davy Jones' locker, we have Davy Jones' library, which is all the books that I have fished up. And then we have the seahorse saddles, which is of course all the saddles I have pulled out of the ocean. This is not every item that can potentially be fished up, but we generally just added on to sort out the ones that was just taking up too much space at our main base. And this is just going to be a place we can keep it sorted. Maybe somebody will come by and buy something, maybe they won't. Doesn't really matter to me. I do like the final build. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And with that, that concludes today's episode. I hope you enjoyed my design process, and I hope you're able to follow along and learn something new, and can take a little something away for your own amusement and your own development of your future builds. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and as always, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode of A Shifted Reality. Oh yeah, and do keep an eye out on Biases. He might have a spoiler episode of his posted before this one goes live. I'm kind of curious what he thought of the base. He told me he was recording as he reviewed mid decorating the interior. Bye, everyone.